Of course, I always find it funny that like, hey, whatever enemy is attacking, we're gonna make a giant mech to fight it, and it's like,
Well,
giant mechs, at least from a tactical standpoint, are a terrible decision.
yeah, but it's not the reasoning. Actually, I think the reasoning is because alternatively they had to rely on solely on nukes to take care of the kaiju. Who like
Well, I mean, also the fact that it's like if I remember right, at least from the Pacific Rim movie,
yeah
um, that they eventually like go like way deep down, and then um, they finally find the rift and send a nuke through.
right. So that's
Um,
I never understood like okay, so how do they? Because they, it's one thing to like okay, we blew up the rift, and it's like okay, but then what stopped them from opening new ones? They went to the alien homeworld, blow them up with it. But then again, you can make the argument: who's to say that
I
blew
could
up the entire
see,
homeworld?
I could at least see it, even if we don't blow up like their entire homeworld or anything like that. Hey, we blew up their device that they are using to make the rift. So
But
at
you
the
can
very
make the
least,
argument
there
they
I
can
can
build
see
a new
that
one
at
if they can
least
make these kaiju. Because
stalling them.
the kaiju, you
But
know.
I'm just like, why would you need a Jaeger to do that? You could
Well, no,
far
they
more
remember they
easily
said in the movie
make a
that
nuke.
anything that went through the rift that wasn't a kaiju, because the yeah, like the colonists, right? The alien colonists, years they genetically created the kaiju, and
I'm
the
sorry, say
rift will
that
only
again.
let kaiju pass. That's why they had to grab the kaiju carcass and pass through the rift.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that, but whatever.
I'm just
But
telling you
even
what the
then,
movie. I'm
it's
just
like,
telling you what the
okay,
movie said. I'm just telling you what the movie said.
fuck up a kaiju with whatever methods, and then from there we strap the nuke to its carcass, send it down. There you go.
True.
Again, there's zero reason to have a piloted mech over there, and I get it. It's a movie. It's for the rule pool bullshit, whatever.
Just there to watch
But
the giant monsters fight the giant
yeah, well,
robots.
we've been making media about giant fucking mechs since the fucking 80s, if not earlier.
Earlier, but 60s. But it's just look, you know. Well, I don't say plot holes, but just kind of like logistical errors.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean,
Universe
it's like
aside,
every movie does that. Every movie does that every
right?
movie.
But it's
But
that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be realistic. Otherwise, it's not really. You know, if it's super realistic, it's not that fun.
yeah, pretty much. I think I have some newbie like I don't know flipping out over my armor.
But yeah, it's the series is actually really good. It really nails the movie where it's like, okay, you know, these kaiju. One kaiju is like super tough. For starters, they go back to using the classifications from the first movie with the Jaegers, where it's like, oh, this is a Mark IV, whatever, and they use the ridiculous naming that the movies Jaegers, as I like to call it, the stripper naming. It's a good show. I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's interested.
Hmm.
It is still new. Like go last week. I do like how they use like a slower frame rate at times for the Jaegers and the Kaiju, which I think really works because you know they're giant, so they're slow moving like that.
Hmm.
The one thing that's kind of like where a lot of people will probably be asking myself, where's the kick-ass theme? I think that might be a copyright.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I can come up with as to why it's not there. Because like you can at least use a modified version of it for the credits. That would have been really cool. but I think they don't because it's Pacific Rim, but they don't really use any of the. It's all like original characters and all that. They do mention Riley Beckett and Marshall. First film only has 2 people that have solo piloted.
And that too, it's like, why would you make? Oh, it's like, okay.
No,
even
they
assuming that you've managed
according to the film.
cross
Remember the
barrier.
first film, they had the whole thing where they showed you like they originally it was 1 pilot, but it was too much, so they had
Oh,
to
like,
spread
that's
the
bullshit.
load.
That's bullshit.
I'm telling you, I'm not making this shit up, man.
No, I know. I understand for the sake of the movie, they have to, because it's like it was originally based off of a book, right? So it's like,
I think so.
yeah, so it's like they got to go and at least somewhat adhere to the world that was already made before them, somewhat. But it's like just in terms, it's just like, no, come on, it's just silly. Because also too, it's like you could easily have it too, where it's like the mech itself, like it's being controlled by the humans' like thought processes and shit, but you just have certain anchor points being controlled by the human brain, and the rest of the mech just kind of goes along with the movements. So it's like, let's say for example, like your ankles, your knees, your elbows, your arms, and your head. That's all that's really getting controlled. So it's not like, hey, if I go and twist my left index finger on the mech, it's not like that kind of bullshit. But then you can maybe have the full hands being controlled, but it's like you don't need.
Well, you say that, but then again, remember, not all of them even have normal
being
hands.
controlled by the human's thought processes. That can be an automated system. There's no reason.
Not all of them even have hands.
Yeah, well, exactly. So it's like, so them going like, oh, well, it's just too much bullshit. And it's like, I understand again, for the sake of the writing, I understand it. But from the sake of, anything realism, which of course it's a movie, we gotta have some suspension of disbelief.
It's a suspension of disbelief, I guess. Term.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think Transformers is, light years cooler, but this is still it's a fun universe. It's, it.
Wait, whoa! People are having fun. We can't have that. There shall be no fun here except for mandatory fun.
Like the Weird Al Yankovic?
No, like U.S. military mandatory fun.
I think his most recent album does singles now. Most recent album is called Man. I'm not kidding. And it's great. Like the poster for it is like him in like a dictatorship type. It's like a Russian communistic propaganda poster. It's fucking hilarious.
No, I was laughing because my cat went to go. I just pulled some bacon out of my fridge. So I had some bacon that I cooked a bunch and I was snacking on it. So I go and I pull some out. My cat's like, that looks yummy. He goes to sniff my hand. And then I had some static electricity brought up, so he got his nose zapped.
Ooh, poor kitty.
And he's just like, oh, that's not supposed to happen.
The other night, Shadow was fully statically charged, so every time I touched her, and like she was like rubbing all over me, and I'm just like, stop shocking me. What'd you do? Roll over a balloon?
Hell yeah.
No, it's a good show. Like, you're following the children of Jaeger, which I thought it's not rare, but usually, the pilots, right, they have to be like in sync, so it's usually like 2 siblings or father and son or something like that. But in the case of the show, you had pilots you're introduced to at first are a married couple, which I thought was an interesting take on, especially since they kind of did that with the movie, with Riley and the Japanese chick. Also, Cam, I found another quote-unquote secret out. of microtext. It's called a Raven's Roost. But the show takes place, you know, intro, then moves Australia to the kaiju, and
Because of course.
of course. But it's interesting because they actually, a lot of the concepts that, you know, the cooler concepts that, you know, were introduced with Pacific Rim, like the drift concept, right, where you're actually mind melding with, like they go full into it in that, you know, well, would be lucky to have even thought of. That's just such a stupid ass movie. Don't watch it. Better ways to. Yeah, they have like they use it for interrogational purposes at one point, which is a neat you know, like again, you're essentially mind melding with someone. If one person's more skilled than the other, you can manipulate their mind, right?
But does that mean I can forcefully tell them dad jokes nonstop?
Pretty much.
Like, no, please, I'll tell you whatever I want. I don't want any information.
You think I wanted something?
No,
Oh, you
please.
sad fool.
What is it? Y'all listen to more of my jokes? No!
Oh, what happened when you crossed the road? No, not that one. Anything but that one.
He got to the other side.
Oh. Like, and you see his mind, like his body and his face in the real world, and he's just like, you know, drooling, like eyes like up in his head, like he's just completely brain dead. Ah, another customer well served. Where the hell is this?
Do what now?
The outpost I'm trying to fly to, called the Ravens.
Didn't that get bombed by an A2 the other day?
Find out. There's a huge crater there, then no. But yeah, that's another thing is they use the drift a bit more creatively in the show. They also have different types of kaiju. Like they have smaller kaiju, almost like I like to call them like precision kaiju because they're using them like, okay, yeah, giant, you know, 4-story or, you know.
Why were they sending him over here anyway? Did like terraform or some bullshit?
They're trying to exterminate humans that colonize the planet.
Of course.
But yeah, they have like smaller kaiju that dog size or I should say horse size. They look like dogs, but the size of a horse.
Bullets means they'll die from bullets.
And I like the idea because like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. After a giant kaiju has been through here, send in the little guys to kind of do precision killings, survivors. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's never me saying like, okay, we'll exterminate the planet by having giant monsters come in. Like, and what happens when the monster comes in? There's gonna be survivors. They can regroup, rebuild, form a resistance against the new colonists that take over if they.
Vive la resistance.
Exactly. But no, then you send in the smaller kaiju. I wouldn't count this as a crater. It looks too like there was shit here once. After still 18.
Rest in pieces.
Not the right spot.
So I actually think for my Fallout 4, I think I've actually got my load order almost finalized. There might be like one or two other things I'll add in, but by and large, it's finalized. Final load order, we're looking at about 700 mods, about 600 plugins. Thankfully, only about 450 or so ESM based plugins. A lot of stuff is like ESL files, which don't take up a load order slot. So I just need to merge it down by about 200-ish, just under, and which is essentially half, which shouldn't be too hard.
And then you're gonna play it, and then you're gonna realize, why am I playing this game? I hate this story.
No. So I think it was like 4 of the mods I have are what is it? Project Valkyrie, Outcasts and Remnants, Depravity, and there's one more that I always fucking forget.
Like forget the name or forget to download.
Because like you remembered in the base story for Fallout 4, they were like, oh yeah, wait, this is the group from Fallout 3? Yeah. Well, what happened to Elder Lance? Oh, he died of old age. Okay, that makes sense. What happened to Sarah Lyons? Oh, she died on a random patrol. What?
Oh, okay, yeah. So you gotcha. Yeah, you have the one where she's back.
I have no idea. I believe it brings her back, or at least fills out her story. I've never actually played the mod, so I don't know yet.
I know there is one. There is a mod that actually has her in.
Well, I mean, it really confuses me when it's like, hey, we're gonna make these great characters. Oh, hey, and then in
yeah, like here are these characters that you actually like, and we're gonna kill them off in the sequel. Off screen.
Like, it's like
Alien 3.
And yet they put Dr. Lee in the Institute, which made no. It's like, here's a person who, for pretty much the first half of their life, of their adult life, they worked tirelessly to try and provide clean, safe drinking water to the entire wasteland. Like,
or at the very least,
it's a pretty altruistic goal.
Yeah, the capital wasteland region. Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, it's a pretty fucking altruistic goal here. Even if
and
there's some
huge,
people
like
who...
a huge one too. Like if it was successful, which it was.
Yeah.
Like that's a game changer for survival in the wasteland.
Yeah. So it's like, I really don't get how someone who would be working and really gearheading, because it was pretty much her and your dad.
Yeah.
For the fall.
They were pretty much the two brains behind the entire project.
Yeah, so
Literally.
It's like, I don't get how someone who would have been devoting this would have been their life's work, essentially, goes and then, one, somehow contacts, but two, gets accepted into and is perfectly fine working for a group that is going around and kidnapping other people, slaughtering them literally just for fucking giggles, because we never do get an explanation. Hey, Institute, why are you doing the things you do? You wouldn't understand, smooth brain. Like, the fuck? Like, New Vegas, it was like, well, you see, the reason I'm doing this is blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, hey, you know what, Caesar?
I never got that, like,
understand
okay,
the
there's
reasoning.
a
I find
random...
it abhorrent and wrong, but I understand it.
There's a random encounter. By the way, I found a drug lab on the moon. It's pretty much the yellow drug lab, but looks a bit more detailed, you know, data graphics and shit. But yeah, no, one of the random encounters is, well, I don't remember, Arthur or something. Like, there's two Arthurs. One's about to kill the other, and obviously one's a synth.
He's like,
the other's human.
No, he's a synth.
And yeah, they're like, no, he's a synth. No, he's a synth. And you know, you have to choose and either help the synth or help the human and kill the other, right? Whichever one you help, you kill the opposite one. And it's like, why are they trying? Because he's like a simple farmer guy, right?
Yeah.
He has a son, and he had like a family, like at least a son or something like that. Like, why would this want to essentially replace some random farmer with a family? What purpose would that serve?
Mayor McDonough.
Mayor makes sense. The mayor makes sense.
Makes sense.
Because that means you have control over the population now through the mayor.
Yeah, and it's like, then I could even see it now. It would have been even better if it was like, oh hey, Mayor McDonough is, the Mayor McDonough is a synth, and then Paladin Dance is a synth. It would have been even better, in my opinion, if you get into the institute, you get into like it's like you break through all the levels of it, because it's like the institute. It's like, oh, it's just this one level and a few like side offices here. Bullshit. Like it's like it should be like you break through layers and layers and layers of security. And it's like you find the real Mayor McDonough and Paladin Dance and all these other people.
That would be cool.
Some alive, some dead. Like it'd be that would be mind blowing. It's like, and especially too for those who don't know, and even better if they don't have all the prisoners in one place, they have them like separated. And it's like, wait, Mayor McDonough, you're here, but I just saw you there. You're just what?
Yeah, it depending on how far you're in the story when you get there, or if you don't learn that he's a synth yet, and then exactly, it changes how you see things based on your progression to the story, and it also gives you that option like, do you free these guys and take down the institute or something like that?
Well, then also too, it'd be like, here's the real Paladin Dance. Who is it that's been following with me the whole time and is actually standing 3 feet away?
And that's the thing. Who's to say which Paladin Dance do you like better? Because let's say the one.
Well, because you've never really known the real Paladin Dance.
The real one might be an asshole.
Assumedly. Yeah.
That's another thing
especially too. Imagine you're being held prisoner. Some guy comes in to rescue you, except he is being followed by your own copycat who doesn't know they're a copycat. Because imagine too that this, because presumably this Paladin Dance acts just like the regular Paladin Dance would, until and unless the Institute sends some kind of an override signal, which is also weird too, because so Paladin Dance is essentially a sleeper agent, so to speak. He's going to act like the real Paladin Dance up to and until the Institute goes, you will now execute these orders. And Synth Dance goes, yes, of course. What's really weird, I don't know if you've ever found this out, but in that random encounter, where you find like the Joe Schmo guy, one of them's a synth, and you got to decide who to support, if any of them. If you just walk away, they get into a tussle. I forgot who wins.
And yeah, one of them wins. I think it's a synth.
Well, one of them is, yeah.
No, I think if you walk away, I think the synth wins.
Yeah, I believe you're right. But if you are, I believe you just have to have found the Institute, meaning that at that point you now have essentially Father's blessing, so to speak. You can tell the synth, because the synth is the one who you've got the human is like on the ground kneeling, if I remember the encounter correctly, and the synth has his gun trained on him. Both are accusing the other of being a synth. You can go and say to the one who's standing up, you can be like, hey, I'm from the Institute, I'm here to help. They'll be like, oh, sweet. Like, it's like, this synth is not a sleeper agent. It knows it's a synth. It knows it's going there to go and kill and replace.
It has a clear objective, and it is aware of that.
Yeah, it's
not
like
following some subtle pre-programming that is hidden behind firewalls,
presumably
or whatever.
Killed, and then Synth Dance would have been left somewhere. His last notion was that he got knocked out in the mission. Wakes up, hey, I'm alive. Okay, I need to go regroup. He does so, and and Synth Dance is not actually aware that he is a synth. He just thinks, man, that last mission was rough.
He finds out when you find out.
Exactly. So it's mission. Like, it just made 0 sense.
It's also, that's another thing. Someone did a video on like Paladin Dance, because like, well, he tells you like he grew up in Rivet City.
Yeah.
Right? And was recruited. Wouldn't you have unless he was recruited beforehand, wouldn't you have met him in Rivet City?
That I won't hold any stock in, just because Rivet City itself is supposed to hold thousands of people. Just like all the Vault are meant to hold, like Vault 101 would have held at the very least, dozens of people, and there was maybe like a dozen and a half in it.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe
okay. Yeah. So game engine limitations.
Goons and shit.
So talking up to engine limitations.
Minimum several dozens, if not more likely, hundreds of people in the vault. It's just due to engine limitations.
Right.
We don't encounter that. So I'm like, that I can go and just put a suspension of
Right, so
disbelief in
it's
that.
like with the whole
Show it all.
Pacific Rim thing. It's like, okay, suspension of disbelief, fine.
Yeah.
Sorry. God, Discord is fucking annoying. Sorry. I clicked on something on Discord and then it decided to reboot. Fucking. I don't know what it is.
I was like,
I don't know what it is. It just started. It was like 8 o'clock tonight. Just started being.
Oh yeah, did you see the screenshot I posted in the screenshots channel?
Yeah, from before with the People's Alliance.
Yeah, nice little Star Wars reference.
No, that's Levski.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the symbol.
Oh, the symbol. Yeah.
Like that's quite literally and it's the Rebel Alliance, People's Alliance symbol.
Yeah. Well, the Rebel Alliance symbol, Jedi Knight symbol, and it shows here in the Alliance. So yeah, you were saying before I got disconnected.
Something dark side, something cookies, something Bethesda sucks, but you can mod their game to something good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something. I'm just hoping that the next Fallout or Elder Scrolls game Bethesda makes, if they do nothing else, if they fuck it up entirely, which they probably will. Well, they're under Microsoft's thumb now, so who knows? But either way, even if it's as bad as Fallout 76, which, oh, by the way, for those who might be listening, for those who might remember, Fallout 76, they promised modding. They promised modding just like you would in any other Bethesda game. And we're, 2.5 years in and not a single sign of modding tools? Gotta milk all of that
being said, people have modded it anyways without the modding tool.
Yeah, but it's literally just texture swap. It's nothing.
There was that time that someone had the Pridwin in 76 because it's still in the game.
Oh, sure, but besides being able to run a few console commands, which that's not really modding to my mind. Besides a few console commands here and some texture swaps there, like we can't actually be like, hey, I want to make a new gun. Hey, I want to make some new armor. Hey, I want to make a quest or NPC or whatever the fuck. Nope, sorry, can't do it at this time. Because part of what I would bet it is that for them to actually have modding, because they're gonna take MMO because they had to fucking go with that model, the dumb shits. But because they made it into an MMO, so it's always online. So we then never really have the base code for it. I mean, we do, but it's being hosted on the server. We are not able to run it really offline. This means, among other things, that if we want to have actual mods like we do for Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, Oblivion, yada yada, then it would have to be using a private server setup. Oh wait, because Bethesda or ZeniMax, whoever you want to put the blame on, are a bunch of weak bastards, we've already monetized the private servers. Ooh. And I will note, I want to say it was late 2019, Bethesda had once again promised modding is still going to be a thing for 76. Again, they haven't made good on this promise at all, but they doubled down on it and said, yes, modding will be a thing for 76. Well, shit. The only way to get mods to work are private servers. So unless we're going to paywall modding in its entirety, because again, you wouldn't even be able to access these modding tools unless you had a private server to even test you, because then you can't even test these things, right? So to even make mods would be locked behind a paywall. They kind of shot themselves in the fucking foot there.
Yep.
What I'm betting will happen is they'll finally go and be like,
you hear?
hey,
I put the
here's
video.
the modding tools. Here's private servers. Fallout First is no. They'll probably do Fallout First and just take away the private service from it and be like, and support over. We're no longer supporting it. That's what I'm betting. They'll go and just dump it. Be like,
Well, it
well,
wouldn't be
we
the
can't
first.
milk any
It
more
wouldn't
money
be
out
the
of this.
first time.
Here's the tools. Bye.
Remember what they did with the season pass for Fallout 4, and then they made it
Yep. Which that lawsuit is.
I really hope that lawsuit gets somewhere with it. Obviously, it's not the secondary goal of that lawsuit was to prevent the Microsoft acquisition.
Yes, which has gone through now.
Which has already gone through. So unfortunately, about that. But hopefully, they can still get their Bethesda can still get their comeuppance for creating the creation. Not giving people paid for the DLC.
It's really odd, but in the last few years, Microsoft has been at least more so.
True, but then in recent the past few months, remember they were going to raise the price of Xbox Live instead of what I think they should have done to make it free. But they were going to make it like they were going to increase the price, the annual price,
to like $120 a year or something.
Something to kind of make it in line with Game Pass's annual fee, because Game Pass annually, I believe, is had $15 a month, right, for the Ultimate Pass, which
something like that. So we're talking
$15 times
and
yeah. Okay, I was correct. I just wanted to double check my math here. So it's $180 a year for Xbox Game Pass.
That's a fucking lot of money.
Versus what used to be $60 a year. Live.
That's.
By the way, anyone listening that has an Xbox and they want some free games and Xbox Game Pass looks enticing, and if you can afford it, that's awesome. Do it if you can afford it.
Yeah, but at the same point.
But at the same time, you know what Xbox Live gives you?
Like 120.
Once a month, Xbox Live will give you 2 free games. Once a month, 2 free games that you keep.
Yeah, it's not just like, but that's what I really dislike though about this whole like Game Pass, the whole games as a service kind of thing is it's like, oh well, as soon as you stop paying, you essentially now have nothing.
You don't have to access the game anymore. Yeah.
I just really dislike that, because it's like with all these, it's like with all my games in Steam, it's like it's not like Steam goes, hey, you got to keep paying me a fee, otherwise you have nothing now. It's like, no, I still have these games. I can play them whenever I want. That's kind of now. What would be interesting would be that with for example with Game Pass, or Xbox, the Xbox Live stuff. It's like, okay, hey, we're gonna make it 180, but on top of the other benefits you get, every 3 months you can pick one game, any game at all, on the Xbox Store, and it's yours, just to keep.
Or at the very least, just do what Xbox Live does, where you get 2 free games, and just because I think Xbox Game Pass gives you Xbox Live, so yeah, you get those 2 free games also.
Yeah, well, but it's like those are curated, and so it's.
But that's the thing, you're getting them with Xbox Live, which is $60 a year.
Sometimes it'll be shit, but I'm like, it'd be cool if you would get even like 2 or 3 games, just 2 or 3 times a year. It just goes, hey, guess what? So it'd be like, let's say for example, it's like, hey, if you get, let's say it's 3 times a year, so that's because that would equate to if they were brand new $60 games, boom, there you go, that's $180. So right there, you would essentially be saying, and it's not like it would really cost Microsoft that much more to do this. But it'd be like, hey, it's been 4 months now since you activated, your Xbox Live, or since the last time here. Pick any game on the store, any game at all. Now it would just be the either the base game, or it's not like it would come with like anything extra unless a game is already being sold as. So it's like, let's say if it's like, if there's a, for example, let's say if New Vegas is on the store, it's like Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, $24, Boom, there you go. And it's like, and it doesn't matter what you pick, but just boom, there you go. You can pick that. A purchase not to exceed more than whatever base game AAA title cost is, whether it's $59.99 or 62, but whatever it might be in your currency, whatever. But so essentially, you could just pick any game whatsoever, whether it's new, whether it's old. Boom, there you go. Pick a game, you get it, you keep it, and it's yours. And it's not curated by Microsoft. It's just whatever you want. That would be kind of cool, because that would somewhat justify the higher price increase.